Hello and welcome, I am Thomas Porteous and you're watching NewsX World. Let's take a look at some of the top stories. Rescue efforts in Myanmar continue after Friday's deadly earthquake as the death toll rises to 1,700. Hundreds of people remain missing with searches underway in both Myanmar and neighbouring Thailand. US President Donald Trump has said he is very angry with Russian President Vladimir Putin after weeks of attempting to negotiate a ceasefire in Ukraine. In an NBC News interview, the US President threatened to impose a 50% tariff on countries buying Russian oil. Donald Trump says he is soon to be announced. Reciprocal tariffs will apply to all countries pouring cold water on the hopes that only the economies with the biggest trade imbalances with the US would be targeted. US warplanes carry out strikes on 3 Houthi radar sites in Yemen after missile target US Navy vessels in the Red Sea. This marks the latest escalation in the region which kills at least one person. Russia has bombed the city of Kharkiv for a second night in a row. The strikes injured at least 2 and lasted most of the night, the mayor of Ukraine's second largest city said. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Israel is conducting negotiations under fire after Israel rejected and countered a ceasefire proposal from Arab mediators. Netanyahu says that Hamas must disarm in order for Israel to ensure security in Gaza. The Red Cross Foundation expressed outrage after 8 medical colleagues were killed while on duty in the Gaza Strip. A reported 64 people have also been killed by Israeli forces in Gaza within the last 24 hours. US President Donald Trump has threatened Iran with bombs and secondary tariffs if they do not sign a nuclear deal with the United States. Donald Trump says he will wait a couple of weeks before coming to a final decision. We continue our coverage on the Myanmar-Thailand earthquakes, where we have updates for you. According to reports, nearly 1,700 people have been confirmed dead so far. About 3,400 are injured and around 300 more are missing in Myanmar days after a massive 7.7 magnitude earthquake struck near the city of Mandalay. The tremors collapsed buildings, drowned bridges and buckled roads, with mass destruction seen in the city of more than 1.7 million people. Across the border in Thailand, rescuers in Bangkok worked on Sunday to pluck out survivors trapped when a 30-story skyscraper that was under construction collapsed after the Friday earthquake. At least 18 people have been killed in the Thai capital, with 33 injured and 78 still missing. A joint team of experts from Israel's army and defense ministry has arrived in Bangkok to assist Thai authorities in the ongoing rescue effort. Footage shared by the Israeli army showed the team cooperating with Thai authorities at the site of the collapsed 33-story building amid ongoing efforts to rescue dozens of workers trapped under the rubble. The team from Israel consisted of engineering and civil engineers officers from the National Rescue Unit of the Home Front Command and coordinated by the International Cooperation Unit. People injured in the earthquake have been left to receive medical treatment in open air at a local hospital in Myanmar's capital city of Phitsanulok, after the disaster damaged the buildings and made the facility unsafe to take patients inside. Meanwhile, China has rescued 3 people, including a pregnant woman, from the quake rubble, according to state media. China's National Rescue Team also successfully pulled a female resident alive from the wreckage of a collapsed hotel in Myanmar on Monday, nearly 60 hours after the earthquake struck the country. She is the first person saved by the Chinese search and rescue team since their arrival in the city. Dihongdai and Jingpo Autonomous Prefecture in Southwest China's Yunnan province has also swiftly mobilised relief supplies worth 1.1 million yuan to support relief efforts in the affected areas in Myanmar. Our correspondent Brian Thomas is on the ground in Bangkok, providing us with timely updates on the aftermath and rescue operations. Let us hear from him as he reports from Chonachak Market.
Well, NewsX is in Thailand, Bangkok, and we are showing you everything that we can in our capacity to show everything that is being going on Bangkok from 28th itself. You can see also this entire place have been sealed off. Entire place have been restricted, and these are these kiosks also that has been made. Earlier, media persons were allowed to stand here, report, but this entire place now has been sealed off for security reasons. You can see big machines also being deployed. There are several heavy machines that have been deployed, and here also you can see the missing person report also that is there, where 96 people are still missing. There are 11, death toll has reached to 11, where 11 people have lost their lives. You can see the locals also who are preparing food, who are giving shelters, who are providing every aid they can to the people who need. You can see water bottles, you can see wet wipes, you can see juices as well being provided by all the locals here. A coffee truck has also been deployed for anyone who would want to have coffee. So these are all efforts that is being provided by the locals here. You can see this is naming as restricted area. Earlier this area was allowed for media people, but now definitely it has been sealed off by the authorities here. You can see these charts also that have been provided by the authorities here. You can see the IFM police as well, authorities, and it is also the monitor control being operational here as well. NewsX is in Bangkok, and we are giving you a rolling coverage on all the happenings that is there right now. 72-hour window is the best hour to find survivors, but yes, slowly and steadily the hopes are all fading away. But yes, the authorities are working in full vigil, in full preparations to ensure that things become normal. See the preparations by the Thai authorities. There are these vehicles also, crane services that have been deployed inside. There are 10 to 15 of these vehicles, including drones, to ensure to make people safe from the debris. There are more than 100 people who are still stuck under the debris, and the Thai authorities, even with Israeli officials, are also trying to take out the people, to rescue people. These are these big vehicles also that have been deployed inside. These are these crane services. Many of such crane services have also been put inside for to save the passengers who are stuck. Right now, as per the latest data, 17 people have lost their lives, and till now 76 people are still missing. You can see these crane services have also been deployed, where 3 to 4 people they can stand here and they can help the people who are stuck under the debris. I'll show you these visuals also. You can see this is the maximum allowable wind speed that is written as 12.5 m per second. Maximum allowable is 400 knots, and then the unlimited, there's this unlimited working curve load and also limited working curve load. Now you get an understanding also how these actually function. There's a proper signage giving as to how this works. This is the entire crane. This is how it looks. This is the entire crane service of the many such vehicles that have been deployed inside. You can also see there's this very famous Bangsoi junction also that is just near the debris site, that is just near the building, the 33-story building that fell prey to this earthquake that happened, that jolted Bangkok, that took lives of more than 17 people. There are such crane services also. There are such some vehicles also that have been deployed inside. There are many such cranes, trucks being deployed. You can see the city police officials also inside. You can see the malls also being operational here. And rest apart, the entire city is in normal, is working in normalcy. But there are few places that is still not working in a normal way. I'll also try to show you the mall from inside. You can see this is the mall. This is partially operational because of the incident that has happened. It is not fully operational. You can see the inside of the mall as well. This is Bangsui Junction. You go up. So since it is just near the debris site, it is near the Labs. So it is not working in full capacity. It is partially operational, but yes, it is still working. And the rest of the Bangkok rest malls, like the Icon Siam, like the Siam Paragon, like the King Power, they are all working in full operational way.
Let's turn to the Middle East now, where Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has chosen former Navy commander Eli Shavit as the next chief of Shin Bet, the domestic security agency. Shavit served in the military for 36 years. As Navy commander, he led operations against Hamas, Hezbollah and Iran. His appointment comes amid controversy. The Supreme Court has temporarily blocked the dismissal of the Shin Bet chief Ronan Bar, who was fired by Netanyahu. Ronan Bar's relationship with Netanyahu's government soured after he criticised the handling of Hamas's October the 7th attack. Reportedly, Shavit's background in naval warfare, not internal security. He does not speak Arabic or have experience in Palestinian affairs. The final decision on Shavit's appointment will depend on the court's ruling. Moving on now, the Palestinian Red Crescent Society said that it has recovered the bodies of 16 rescuers killed a week ago when their ambulances came under fire near Rafah. Among the dead are 8 medics from the Red Crescent, 6 members of Gaza's Civil Defense Agency and 1 UN employee. The Red Cross said that 1 medic still remains missing. The Red Crescent also accused the Israeli authorities of refusing to allow search operations to locate its crew. The Red Cross has expressed outrage, calling the attack a violation of international humanitarian law. It said that humanitarians must be protected, adding that ambulances were clearly marked. Israel's military admitted firing upon the vehicles, but said that they were suspicious. It claimed that Hamas and other terrorist groups have used ambulances for plotting attacks. This incident comes amid ongoing Israeli strikes in Gaza, with hundreds killed since the Israeli military resumed operations in mid-March. Meanwhile, the United Nations also condemned this action. Let's take a listen in to what the director of the Gaza hospitals, the executive director of the Red Crescent, and the UN official had to say.
اليوم نقف أمام جريمة كبيرة بكل المقاييس، جريمة تندى لها جبين العالمية أجمع، جريمة قتل فيها 10 من ضباط الإسعاف والدفاع المدني على مرأى ومسمع العالم بإصابات وقاتلة مباشرة وبإطلاق نار مباشر، وهم في سياراتهم، سيارات الإسعاف وسيارات الدفاع المدني، ذاهبون لإنقاذ الأرض. اليوم بعد 8 أيام من المماطلة سمح الاحتلال ودل على مكان دفن هؤلاء الجثامين الطاهرة. تمكنت طواقم الهلال الأحمر والإسعاف من إحضار هذه الجثامين الطاهرة.
8 شهداء من الهلال الأحمر الفلسطيني و6 شهداء من الدفاع المدني ارتقوا بسبب عنجهية هذا الجيش الذي لا يحترم قوانين دولية ولا معاهدات دولية ولا يراعي أي شكل من الأشكال الإنسانية في تعامله مع المؤسسات الإنسانية.
Health workers should never be a target, and yet we're here today digging up a mass grave of first responders and paramedics. 7 days ago, civil defense and PRCS ambulances arrived at the scene. One by one, they were hit, they were struck. Their bodies were gathered and buried in this mass grave. We're digging them out in their uniforms, with their gloves on. They were here to save lives. Instead, they ended up in a mass grave. Their vehicles, their ambulances, UN vehicles, civil defense vehicles are crushed and dumped, covered in sand next to us. It's an absolute horror. What has happened here? This should never happen. Healthcare workers should never be.
US President Donald Trump is making waves in the Ukraine-Russia conflict. He's pushing for a ceasefire deal, but with a catch. Trump is urging Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky to sign over exclusive mineral rights to US firms. And he's not happy with Vladimir Putin either, slamming the Russian leader for questioning Zelensky's credibility. Meanwhile, fighting rages on. Russian and Ukrainian forces exchanged fire in Russia's Kursk region. Ukraine claims it shot down 65 Russian drones overnight. And in Kharkiv, a military hospital was hit by Russian drone strikes, injuring soldiers. Amid all this, Russia is floating a new idea, setting up a UN-supervised temporary administration in Ukraine. But that would need backing from all UN Security Council members. And in Kiev, Dutch Defence Minister Ruben Bartelsmans warns that Ukraine needs military aid now as Russia ramps up its attacks. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
And Ukraine basically needs more of everything: ammunition, armed vehicles, drones, air defense. And we as Europeans, but also the United States, we need to keep up our deliveries. We also see that Russia is putting more and more equipment, more and more troops, more and more of everything at the battlefield. And we need to make sure that Ukraine...
Let's move back to Israel now, where Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that Hamas leaders will be allowed to leave Gaza, but only if they give up their weapons. He claimed that military pressure on the group is working as negotiations for a ceasefire continue. Hamas has said that it will not disarm itself. The group has, however, agreed to a new ceasefire proposal from mediators, but Israel has sent a counteroffer. Israel continues its bombardment of Gaza. A strike on a tent in Khan Yunis killed at least 8 people, including 5 children. This happened on the first day of Eid al-Fitr. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met with Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis in Jerusalem. Netanyahu had stated that the two would discuss security challenges and defence cooperation, as well as economic opportunities. During his visit, Mitsotakis also met with Israeli President Isaac Herzog. The two discussed the situation in Gaza and the remaining hostages held by Hamas. Herzog stressed that Israel's military operations are focused on securing the release of these hostages. He said their safe return is Israel's highest priority. He also expressed concern over reports about the hostages' medical conditions. Mitsotakis reaffirmed his support for Israel and joined the call for the immediate and unconditional release of all hostages. He also said that he hopes for a new ceasefire in Gaza. The two leaders also discussed recent terror attacks. The Greek Prime Minister also signed the President's Guest Book, writing that he wished to emphasise the strategic partnership and strong ties of friendship between Greece and Israel.
Let me add my voice to those who call for the immediate and unconditional release of all the hostages. But let me also add my voice to those who express a sincere hope that as quickly as possible there will be a new ceasefire in Gaza, and that finally the release of the hostages will be accompanied by a framework that will allow us all to think about the day after.
US airstrikes reportedly hit areas around Yemen's rebel-held capital Sana'a overnight, with at least 1 person killed and 4 others injured, according to Houthi sources. The airstrikes, which are part of a broader American campaign that began in mid-March, followed earlier strikes and targeted what the Houthis suggest are military or intelligence sites. The US operation under President Trump appears more extensive than previous actions under President Biden, now targeting Houthi personnel and urban areas. The airstrikes came after the Houthis threatened to resume attacks on Israeli ships due to Israel's blockade on Gaza. The ongoing conflict in Yemen has devastated the country's economy and worsened humanitarian conditions. Staying in the Middle East, where Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has issued a strong warning to the United States. In a live speech, he said Iran would retaliate forcefully if attacked. Khamenei disarmed US threats as mischief, but vowed a decisive response if any action is taken. His remarks come amid rising tensions between Washington and Tehran. Iran has rejected direct talks with the United States over its nuclear program. This announcement comes after US President Donald Trump sent a letter to Iran's supreme leader, urging Tehran to reach a new deal. President Masoud Pezeshkian confirmed the decision, saying that Iran does not trust Washington and will only engage in indirect talks. Pezeshkian said Iran's policy remains unchanged and that it will not negotiate under pressure or threats. Let's take a listen to what the Iranian president had to say.
مقام معظم رهبری در رابطه با نامه‌ای که ترامپ فرستاده مذاکره به طور مستقیم رد شده، اما مذاکره به طور غیر مستقیم همیشه ایران در اون رابطه بوده و الان هم آقا معظم رهبری تاکید فرمودن که مذاکره غیر مستقیم همچنان میتونه ادامه داشته باشه.
Trump has responded with a strong warning. He threatened to bomb Iran and said that a decision on secondary tariffs on Iran would be made in the coming weeks, depending on Iran's actions. Let's take a listen to what Donald Trump had to say.
We're going to make a decision on secondary tariffs on Iran based on whether or not they're going to make a deal. If they're going to make a deal, then we're never going to put secondary tariffs on. We're going to hope they have a great, long, and successful life as a country. But we'll see what happens. It's very interesting. I can't imagine them doing anything else but making a deal. I would prefer a deal to the other alternative, which I think everybody in this plane knows what that is. And that's not going to be pretty.
In response to Trump's threat, reports from Tehran suggest Iran's military has put missiles on high alert. Underground bases across the country now hold US President Donald Trump is making headlines again. Speaking to reporters, he addressed global trade, sanctions, and foreign policy. He confirmed upcoming tariffs apply to all nations, not just a select few. On Iran, he said secondary tariffs depend on whether Tehran agrees to a deal. He made it clear he prefers diplomacy over alternatives. Let's take a listen to what US President Donald Trump had to say.
We're going to make a decision on secondary tariffs on Iran based on whether or not they're going to make a deal. If they're going to make a deal, then we're never going to put secondary tariffs on. We're going to hope they have a great, long, and successful life as a country. But we'll see what happens. It's very interesting. I can't imagine them doing anything else but making a deal. I would prefer a deal.
On Russia, he defended Vladimir Putin but expressed disappointment over his remarks on Ukraine's President Zelensky. Trump also warned Zelensky against backing out of a rare earth minerals deal with the US, saying Ukraine could face big problems. Let's take a listen to what President Trump had to say.
I don't think he's going to go back on his word. You're talking about Putin. I don't think he's going to go back on his word. I've known him for a long time. We've always gotten along well. I think he'll be okay. But if he isn't, I was disappointed in a certain way. Some of the things that were said over the last day or two having to do with Zelensky, because when he considers Zelensky not credible, he's supposed to be making a deal with him, whether you like him or you don't like him. So I wasn't happy with that. But I think he's going to be good. And I certainly wouldn't want to put secondary tariffs on Russia, but if they were put on, it would not be. It's a psychological deadline. If I think they're tapping us along, I will not be happy about it.
Do you think they are right now?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think he wants to make a deal. And I think Zelensky, by the way, I see he's trying to back out of the rare earth deal. And if he does that, he's got some problems. Big problems. We made a deal on rare earth. And now he's saying, well, I want to renegotiate the deal. He wants to be a member of NATO. Well, he was never going to be a member of NATO. He understands that. So if he's looking to renegotiate the deal, he's got it.
Trump also weighed in on TikTok, confirming strong interest from buyers and signaling that the final decision rests with him. On the auto industry, he stressed that American manufacturers stand to benefit the most from his policies. Let's listen in.
The automakers are going to make a lot of money, the American automakers, or international automakers if you're talking about they're going to build in the United States. The people that are going to make money are people that manufacture cars in the United States. Outside of the United States, that's going to be up to them. I don't care too much about that.
Elon Musk handed out $1 million checks to 2 Wisconsin voters promoting a conservative candidate in the state's high-stakes Supreme Court race. At a Green Bay rally, Musk, a key Trump advisor, urged voters to support Conservative Brad Schimmel, warning that the election could tilt the court's stance on abortion, labor, and election laws. Musk pledged for $20 for every voter or supporter recruited, saying the race is crucial for the future of civilization. His efforts, including spending $17.5 million through affiliated groups, make this the most expensive judicial race in US history. Musk's controversial actions echo his 2024 election involvement, where he donated heavily to conservative causes. Wisconsin's state Supreme Court allowed the giveaways despite challenges from the Democratic officials. We move on now, where British Prime Minister Keir Starmer and US President Donald Trump spoke about a possible trade deal. Downing Street has called the talks productive. Since Brexit, Britain has been trying to secure a trade agreement with the United States. Previous governments have failed to reach a trade deal with the US, but now Starmer's government is making a new push. Trump has also hinted at this deal, calling it a great one that could reduce tariffs on British steel. Unlike the EU, Britain has chosen not to retaliate against US trade measures. The UK is racing to finalise an agreement before April the 2nd. That's when Trump plans to announce new tariffs. London hopes to avoid or lessen the impact through diplomacy. A key issue is Britain's digital service tax, which earns the UK £800 million a year. Reports say the UK may scrap it in exchange for tariff relief. Starmer has not confirmed this, but says all options remain open. Downing Street has called the potential agreement an economic prosperity deal. Experts say it might fall short of a full trade deal, but could still benefit Britain's economy. Over to France now, where Marine Le Pen, leader of France's far-right national rally, faces a pivotal court ruling over embezzlement charges that could bar her from the 2027 presidential race. The trial centres on allegations of diverting over €3 million in European Parliament funds for party staff. Prosecutors have requested a 5-year public office ban if found guilty. Le Pen, who denies wrongdoing, calls the case a political attack. A acquittal would strengthen her position as a top contender, while a guilty verdict could deeply disrupt her campaign. The outcome could also spark controversy over judicial influence in politics, with Le Pen supporters viewing it as an attack by the political elite. If banned, party president Jordan Bardella is expected to take her place. To North America now, with Canada's general election set for April the 28th, former central banker Mark Carney leads a Liberal resurgence, overtaking Conservative Pierre Poilievre in the polls. Carney, who became Prime Minister in March, has gained support with his strong stance against US President Donald Trump's threats, including tariffs on Canadian goods. Carney's leadership contrasts with Poilievre's focus on tax cuts and resource development, while both leaders face a divided electorate. Experts say the key issue is who can best navigate Canada's relationship with the United States. With at least 343 seats at stake, voters are looking for strong leadership in these tense times. Carney's firm response to Trump has resonated with many, positioning him as the front-runner in what is considered the most crucial election in Canada's history. Well, that's all we have time for. We will continue to bring you more news updates from around the world.